The Galactic Defense Academy stood tall and proud on the neutral planet Viridian. For over 300 years, it had been training cadets from 17 different alien species. The massive structure, with its gleaming silver towers and sprawling training grounds, was considered the top military school in the United Galactic Alliance. Today was special. For the first time ever, human cadets would walk through the Academy's front gates. Commander Zelthorn watched from his office window as the transport ship landed on the main platform. The blue-scaled Arcturian adjusted his formal uniform and took a deep breath. As the Academy's senior instructor of galactic military history, he had been chosen to welcome Earth's first group of cadets. "This should be quite interesting," he said to his assistant, straightening his forearms. "Humans have only had faster-than-light travel for 3 years, and already they're sending cadets." His assistant, a slender Zethri named Leary, nodded. "I've read that they advanced from primitive flight to space exploration in less than 200 years. Most species take at least 500. "Yes," Commander Zelthorn said, his voice low. "And they did it while fighting multiple planet-wide wars. I'm curious to see what kind of soldiers they make." The transport door opened with a hiss. 5 humans walked down the ramp, each carrying a single bag. They looked small and fragile compared to most Academy cadets. The tallest human barely reached the shoulder of a young Kavarian cadet watching nearby. "So these are the famous humans," whispered a group of four-eyed Beldorian cadets. "They look soft." Commander Zelthorn walked across the landing pad, his long strides covering the distance quickly. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy. I am Commander Zelthorn, your primary instructor for military history." The 5 humans stood at attention and saluted in perfect unison. The one in front, a male with short brown hair, spoke first. "Jack Morrison, Earth Defense Force. These are Cadets Samantha Powell, Ethan Carter, Olivia Martinez, and Daniel Wright. Thank you for accepting us into your academy, Commander." The commander returned their salute with 2 of his forearms. "The Alliance welcomes all member species. Your quarters have been prepared in the Eastern Wing. Tomorrow you will join the other first-year cadets for orientation." As the humans were led away by Leary, Commander Zelthorn noticed many other cadets watching with curious eyes. Some looked interested, others seemed concerned, and a few appeared openly dismissive. The Kavarians, a warrior species with 6 limbs and thick armored skin, looked particularly unimpressed. The next morning, all first-year cadets gathered in the Academy's main hall. The 5 humans sat together, aware of the stares from around the room. The hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy, some with multiple limbs, others with scales or tentacles, and some that seemed to float rather than walk. Commander Zelthorn stood at the front. "Welcome, cadets. You represent the finest young warriors from 17 species across our alliance. For the next 4 years you will train together, learn together, and grow together. Today we begin with cultural exchange. Each species will share important aspects of their military culture." The presentations began. The Kavarians showed their traditional combat forms. The Zethri demonstrated their mental linking techniques. The Beldorians explained their 4-dimensional tactical systems. When it was the humans' turn, Jack Morrison stood. "Earth has a complex military history. Rather than tell you about it, we'd like to show you. With the commander's permission, we've prepared video footage from our past conflicts." Commander Zelthorn found this approach interesting. "Very well. We can arrange a special screening session tomorrow. It might be educational for everyone." Later that day, in their shared quarters, the human cadets prepared their presentation. "Are you sure about this?" Olivia asked, as Daniel organized the video files. "Some of this footage is pretty intense." Jack nodded firmly. "They need to understand us, and to understand humans, they need to see our history, the good and the bad." Samantha looked up from her datapad. "I overheard some Kavarians talking. They think we're weak because we're smaller than most species here. They have no idea what humans are capable of." "They will soon enough," Ethan said quietly. The next day, the Academy's main lecture hall was filled with curious cadets and several instructors. Commander Zelthorn sat in the front row, his 4 eyes focused on the screen. What we're about to show you, Jack explained, is actual footage from Earth's major conflicts over the past 200 years. This isn't a complete picture of humanity, but it's an important part of understanding who we are and how we fight. Daniel dimmed the lights and started the presentation. The screen filled with black and white footage of World War I trenches, stretched across muddy fields. Soldiers charged across open ground into machine gun fire. Clouds of poison gas rolled across battlefields. Men fought with bayonets in close combat. The alien cadets watched in silence. A young Zethri covered her eyes during particularly graphic scenes. The footage shifted to World War II. Tanks rumbled across deserts and fields. Planes dropped bombs on cities. Soldiers stormed beaches under heavy fire. Infantry fought house to house in ruined towns. Their weapons are so primitive, a Kavarian cadet whispered. Why don't they just bomb from orbit? This was before space travel, another replied. They're killing each other on their own planet. The video continued through the Cold War, Vietnam, and into more recent conflicts. It showed guerrilla warfare, urban combat, special forces operations, and precision strikes. When the lights came back on, the lecture hall remained silent. Many cadets looked stunned. Some appeared disturbed. A few seemed impressed. Commander. Zelthorn stood slowly. His expression was hard to read. Cadet Morrison, is this representative of all human warfare? Jack nodded. Yes, Commander. These are actual historical records. A Beldorian cadet raised a tentacle. You continued fighting even when your fellow humans were dying by the thousands. Why not surrender? Because sometimes, Samantha answered, the cost of surrender is worse than the cost of fighting. A Kavarian named Drell stood up, his voice filled with disbelief. Your species was developing nuclear weapons while still fighting planetary wars. You should have destroyed yourselves. Many thought we would, Ethan admitted. But we didn't. Commander Zelthorn studied the 5 human cadets with new interest. I think we all need time to process what we've seen. Class dismissed. As the alien cadets filed out, many gave the humans a wide berth. Whispers filled the hallways. The human cadets gathered their equipment, aware that something had changed. Their fellow students were now looking at them differently, with caution, concern, and in some cases with fear. Commander Zelthorn remained in his seat long after everyone else had gone, thinking about what he had seen. These small, seemingly fragile beings had survived centuries of conflict that would have ended many species. He made a note in his teaching log. Human cadets require careful observation. Their species' relationship with warfare appears unique. The first day of regular classes would begin tomorrow. The human cadets went to sleep not knowing that by morning, 20 alien cadets would request transfers to different training groups, unwilling to train alongside the strange new species that had just revealed its violent history. The next morning, Commander Zelthorn sat at his desk reviewing the stack of transfer requests. 20 alien cadets had asked to move to different training groups overnight. All cited the same reason. They did not want to train with humans. His office door chimed. Enter, he called, setting down the requests. The 5 human cadets walked in and stood at attention. They looked tired, as if they hadn't slept well. At ease, Commander Zelthorn said, gesturing to the chairs with one of his forearms. We need to talk about yesterday's presentation. Jack Morrison looked at the pile of papers. Those are transfer requests, aren't they? The commander nodded slowly. 20 cadets have asked to be moved away from human training groups. They were disturbed by what they saw. We only showed them the truth, Samantha said, her voice firm. That's our history. I understand, Commander Zelthorn replied. But you must understand something too. Most species in the Alliance have moved beyond physical warfare centuries before developing space travel. The level of direct combat shown in your footage is shocking to them. Daniel leaned forward. Commander, with respect, if they can't handle watching videos of war, how will they handle actual combat? The blue-scaled alien tapped his desk with a long finger. It's not the violence that disturbs them. Most species have violent chapters in their past. It's the persistence of humanity that they find unsettling. Persistence? Olivia asked. Your species continued fighting even when facing terrible losses. You adapted to overwhelming odds. You developed weapons that could destroy your entire planet, yet somehow avoided extinction. The commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. That kind of determination frightens them. Ethan crossed his arms. So being good soldiers makes us bad classmates? Being unknown makes you concerning, Commander Zelthorn corrected. They don't understand you yet. After leaving the commander's office, the human cadets walked to the training hall for their first combat class. As they entered, the other cadets moved away, leaving a clear space around them. Well, this is awkward, Samantha muttered. The combat instructor, a tall Kavarian named Gravik, called the class to order. Today we begin basic hand-to-hand training. Pair up with someone of similar size. The human cadets looked around, but no one approached them. Finally, a young Zethri with purple skin and large eyes stepped forward. I will train with you, she said to Olivia. My name is Mila. Olivia smiled. Thank you, Mila. Slowly, a few other cadets paired with the remaining humans, though many still kept their distance. In the training circle, Olivia and Mila began practicing basic combat forms. The Zethri moved with natural grace, her forearms flowing through the motions. Can I ask you something? Mila said quietly as they trained. Those war videos. Were all humans involved in such fighting? Olivia shook her head. No. Many humans never fight at all. Many work for peace. Then why show only the fighting? Mila asked. Olivia paused, considering this. I think we wanted to show what makes human soldiers different. Maybe we should have shown more. Across the training hall, Jack was paired with Drell, the large Kavarian who had spoken out during the screening. Despite his earlier comments, Drell had volunteered to train with Jack, perhaps seeing an opportunity to test the human's abilities. Your species is physically weaker than most, Drell said as they circled each other. How did you survive such brutal warfare? Jack blocked a strike from one of Drell's 6 limbs. We adapt. We find ways to win even when outmatched. Is that why? You created such terrible weapons, Drell asked, launching another attack. Jack ducked under the blow. Partly, but those same minds that created weapons also created medicine, art, and eventually starships. After training, the humans gathered in the Academy's dining hall. They sat alone at a table, aware of the stares from around the room. This isn't going well, Daniel said, pushing his food around his plate. They're afraid of us. Jack looked around the room. They don't know us yet. They've only seen one side of humanity. Commander Zelthorn was right, Samantha added. It's not just the violence that bothers them. It's that they can't understand why we fight like we do. Ethan nodded slowly. Then we need to help them understand. Later that evening, the human cadets met in their quarters to develop a plan. They spent hours talking, arguing, and finally agreeing on a path forward. The next day, Jack approached Commander Zelthorn after class. Sir, we'd like to request another opportunity to present to the Academy. The commander looked skeptical. Another war presentation? I'm not sure that would help your situation. Not war this time, Jack explained. We want to show the other side of humanity. The reasons behind why we fight and what we do when we're not fighting. Commander Zelthorn considered this. Very well, 1 week from today, but be aware that many cadets may choose not to attend. Word spread quickly through the Academy about the human's second presentation. Opinion was divided. Some cadets wanted nothing to do with the violent species, while others were curious to learn more. During that week, the human cadets faced daily challenges. In tactical classes, other species were reluctant to include them. In group exercises. In the simulator, several alien cadets refused to serve on virtual crews with humans. Even in the dining hall, they often ate alone. Despite this, they worked every night on their new presentation, determined to change perceptions. On the day of the second screening, the lecture hall was only half full. Commander Zelthorn sat in the front row again, along with several other instructors who seemed interested in learning more about their new students. Samantha stepped forward this time. Thank you for coming. Last week we showed you how humans fight. Today, we want to show you why we fight and what we do when war is over. Daniel dimmed the lights and new footage appeared on the screen. It showed disaster relief teams helping after earthquakes and floods, medical workers treating wounded civilians in conflict zones, engineers rebuilding destroyed cities. International cooperation during global crises. The footage continued, showing peacekeeping missions, humanitarian aid drops, and rescue operations. It showed former enemies working together years after wars had ended, children from different countries playing together in once contested territories. When the lights came back on, the mood in the room was noticeably different. A Beldorian cadet raised a tentacle. How can your species be capable of both such destruction and such compassion? Because we're human, Ethan answered simply. We contain both darkness and light. Our history has both war and peace, cruelty and kindness. Mila, the young Zethri who had trained with Olivia, spoke next. Then, which is the true nature of humanity? Olivia smiled gently. Both are, and understanding that helps us be better soldiers. We know what we're fighting to protect and what happens if we fail. Commander Zelthorn stood up. His voice carried through the hall. In my centuries of teaching military history, I've found that the most important quality in a soldier isn't strength or speed or even intelligence. It's understanding why you fight and knowing when not to fight. Perhaps we all have something to learn from our new human cadets. As the presentation ended, a few alien cadets approached the humans with questions. The wall of fear hadn't completely broken, but cracks were beginning to show. That night, Commander Zelthorn made another note in his teaching log. Human adaptability extends beyond warfare. Their capacity for both violence and compassion makes them complex, but potentially valuable allies. Training integration must continue. 2 weeks after the second presentation, things were slowly changing at the Galactic Defense Academy. The human cadets no longer ate alone in the dining hall. Several alien cadets had begun to sit with them, asking questions about Earth and human culture. Mila, the purple-skinned Zethri who had befriended Olivia, brought 3 of her classmates to join them for lunch. "This is your Earth food?" asked one of the Zethri, poking at the synthesized hamburger on Jack's plate. "Kind of," Jack laughed. "The real thing tastes better. This is just what the food printers think a hamburger should be." Across the dining hall, Drell watched with his fellow Kavarians. The large 6-limbed aliens still kept their distance from the humans. "I don't trust them," Drell said. "One minute they show us how they kill each other, the next they want us to believe they're peaceful. Which is the truth?" His commander, a senior Kavarian cadet named Vrock, crossed his 4 upper arms. "Perhaps both are true. That's what makes them dangerous." That afternoon, all first-year cadets gathered for their first major training exercise. Commander Zelthorn stood before them on the Academy's main training field, which today had been transformed into a complex obstacle course. "Today you will face the survival challenge," the commander announced. "You will be divided into teams of 5. Each team must cross the course, retrieve a mission objective, and return safely. You will be scored on speed, teamwork, and tactical decisions." The commander began listing the teams. When he reached Team 7, he announced, "Jack Morrison, Samantha Powell, Mila Nouri, Kralvex, and Drell Tavik." Drell's head snapped up in surprise. He was being placed on a team with 2 humans. As the teams gathered, Drell approached Commander Zelthorn. "Sir, I request reassignment to another team." The commander's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Request denied, Cadet Tavik. Learning to work with all Alliance species is part of your training." Drell returned to his team, clearly unhappy. The 5th member, Kralvex, was a rock-like Petrosian with thick gray skin and glowing eyes. He seemed equally uncomfortable with the team assignment. Jack extended his hand to Drell. "Let's try to work together on this." Drell ignored the gesture. "I will complete the mission as required. Nothing more." The challenge began with a signal from the commander. 20 teams rushed forward into the course, which was filled with artificial terrain, electronic barriers, holographic enemies, and physical obstacles. Team 7 moved quickly at first, but soon encountered their first major obstacle. A wide pit filled with a sticky substance that would trap anyone who fell in. "We need to cross here," Samantha said, studying the pit. "Any ideas?" Mila pointed to a series of small platforms floating above the pit. "We could jump across those." Kralvex shook his heavy head. "Too risky. My species is not known for jumping. And I'm too large for those small platforms," Drell added. The team fell silent, watching other teams try different approaches. Some were succeeding, others were getting stuck in the pit. Jack studied the area carefully. "What if we work together? Drell, you're the strongest. Could you throw Mila across? She's the lightest." Drell looked skeptical but nodded. Once across, Jack continued, "Mila can activate that control panel on the other side. I bet it creates a bridge." Samantha pointed to a nearby pile of equipment. "And we can use those poles to test the ground before stepping, in case there are hidden traps." To everyone's surprise, the plan worked perfectly. Drell threw Mila across the pit with his powerful arms. She activated the control panel, which extended a solid bridge. The team crossed safely, moving faster than many others. As they progressed through the course, they faced more challenges. A maze with moving walls, electronic barriers that required codes to bypass, and holographic enemies that needed to be defeated with training weapons. With each obstacle, the team found that their different abilities complemented each other. Mila could squeeze through small spaces. Kral was nearly immune to the electronic stun fields. Drell's strength could move heavy objects. Samantha proved to be an excellent codebreaker. Jack had a talent for spotting hidden paths and traps. Despite their initial reluctance to work together, Team 7 was making good progress. They reached the mission objective, a small electronic device on a pedestal, ahead of most other teams. Jack grabbed the device, but as he did, an alarm sounded. The ground began to shake and the return path started to collapse. "It's a trap," Kral shouted. "We need to find another way back." The team ran through the collapsing course. Ahead, they saw a narrow bridge over a deep pit. The bridge was clearly designed for one person at a time. "We need to hurry," Samantha called out, looking back at the falling debris behind them. Drell went first, his heavy frame making the bridge creak dangerously. Kral followed, then Mila. Samantha crossed next. As Jack started across, part of the bridge broke beneath his feet. He slipped, catching the edge with one hand, the mission objective clutched in the other. Without hesitation, Drell turned back. His long arms reached down and grabbed Jack, pulling the human to safety with surprising gentleness. "Thank you," Jack said, catching his breath. Drell looked at him curiously. "You didn't let go of the objective even when falling." "Mission first," Jack replied simply. The Kavarian's expression changed slightly. "Perhaps we are not so different, in some ways." Team 7 was the third team to complete the course. As they crossed the finish line, Commander Zelthorn nodded approvingly. Later, as scores were posted, Team 7 ranked second overall. They had lost points on time, but scored perfectly on teamwork and tactical decisions. In the team debriefing room, Commander Zelthorn reviewed their performance. "Your diverse skills were used effectively. Each member contributed to the mission success." After the commander left, the team remained in the room, an awkward silence between them. Finally, Drell spoke. "I didn't want to be on a team with humans. I thought you would be weak or reckless or both." "And now?" Samantha asked. "Now I am reconsidering." The large alien looked uncomfortable admitting this. "Your approach to problems is different, but not without merit." Kral, who had been quiet until now, rumbled in his deep voice. "Humans think creatively. This is useful." Mila smiled, her large eyes shining. "I think we made a good team." Jack extended his hand to Drell again. This time, the Kavarian took it carefully in one of his 6 hands. As they left the debriefing room, other cadets noticed the mixed species team walking together. Word spread quickly through the academy. The humans had earned the respect of Drell, Tavik one of the most vocal critics. That evening, Commander Zelthorn updated his teaching log. Integration proceeding better than expected. Human adaptability proves valuable in training scenarios. Recommend continued mixed species teams to build further cooperation. In their quarters, the human cadets discuss the day's events. One training exercise won't change everyone's mind, Ethan warned. No, Jack agreed. But it's a start. A month passed at the Galactic Defense Academy. The successful training exercise had changed things for the human cadets. While not everyone accepted them, many alien cadets now approached them with curiosity instead of fear. The Academy's training shifted to space combat simulations. All first-year cadets spent their mornings in the simulator chambers, practicing various scenarios on virtual starships. Today's exercise will test your crisis response, announced Instructor Gravik, the tall Kavarian combat teacher. Each team will face a unique emergency situation. You must work together to save your ship and crew. The cadets were divided into their regular teams. Jack, Samantha, Mila, Kral, and Drell entered Simulator Pod 7 together. Inside, they found themselves on the bridge of a small patrol vessel. The main view screen showed stars streaking by as they traveled at warp speed. I will take weapons, Drell said, moving to the tactical station. Engineering for me, Kral added, his rocky fingers already working the controls. Mila took the science station, Samantha communications, and Jack settled into the captain's chair. Computer, begin simulation, Jack ordered. The bridge lights dimmed, then flashed red. Alarms blared. Emergency alert, announced the computer voice. Unknown energy field detected. Ship systems failing. The view screen showed a strange, swirling, massive energy directly ahead. The ship shuddered violently. All stop, Jack called out. Reverse engines. Kral worked his controls frantically. Engines not responding, we're being pulled in. Samantha checked her readings. Communications are down. I can't call for help. The ship shook again, harder this time. Sparks flew from several consoles. Analysis. Mila? Jack asked. The Zethri studied her science station. It appears to be a quantum distortion field. Our shields can't withstand it for long. Weapons? Jack turned to Drell. The Kavarian shook his head. Targeting systems offline. We can fire manually, but I don't recommend shooting at an unknown energy field. The ship continued to be pulled toward the swirling energy mass. Systems were failing across the board. Ideas, anyone? Jack looked around at his team. Kral spoke. Up. We could try ejecting a warp core and detonating it. The explosion might push us clear. But that would leave us stranded without warp drive, Samantha pointed out. Mila studied her readings. The field seems to be drawing power from our systems. What if we shut down completely? No power means nothing to attract it. That's risky, Drell said. Life support would fail. We'd have minutes of air at most. Jack considered their options. The situation reminded him of a historical battle they had studied, the Battle of the Atlantic, where submarines would go silent to avoid detection. We'll try Mila's plan with a modification, he decided. We'll shut down all systems except minimal life support. Kral, prepare a power surge through the deflector dish on my mark. If the field is attracted to energy, a sudden burst might confuse it long enough for us to slip away. The team worked quickly, preparing for the shutdown. As systems went offline one by one, the bridge grew darker and colder. Ready with the deflector dish, Kral confirmed. All systems at minimum, Samantha reported. Jack took a deep breath. Now. The ship went dark. The only sound was their breathing in the cold air. Through the view screen, they could see the energy field still pulling them in, but more slowly. Now power surge in 3, 2, 1, mark, Jack ordered. Kral activated the deflector dish. A brilliant burst of energy shot from the front of the ship directly into the swirling field. The field pulsed, expanded, then seemed confused, its pull weakening. Thrusters only, get us out of here, Jack commanded. The ship slowly turned and drifted away from the energy field. Once they were at a safe distance, systems came back online. Simulation complete, announced the computer voice. Crisis successfully resolved. The simulator pod doors opened to reveal Commander Zelthorn and Instructor Gravik waiting outside. "Interesting solution," Commander Zelthorn said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Most teams attempt to fight the energy field or call for help. Neither works." Instructor Gravik looked at Jack. "Your tactic reminds me of an old human naval strategy, playing dead to avoid a predator." Jack nodded. "Submarines in Earth's oceans would go silent to avoid detection. Sometimes the best defense isn't fighting back." The commander made notes on his datapad. "Your team has the highest success rate so far. You've learned to combine your different perspectives effectively." After the simulation, the cadets headed to the Academy's tactical classroom for their afternoon lesson. The topic was historical battles that changed galactic politics. Several teams would present analyses of famous conflicts. Drell approached Jack in the hallway. "Our team is scheduled to present next week. I was thinking we could analyze the Battle of Corvus Prime." "Good choice," Jack replied. "That was a turning point in the Beldorian-Zethri conflict." "Yes, but I was wondering—" Drell seemed uncomfortable. "Would you be willing to share some human battle analyses as well? Your species seems to have unique insights." Jack smiled. "I'd be happy to." In the classroom, the presentation that day was about the Kavarian defense of Sector 19, when a small fleet held off a much larger force. The presenting team showed tactical displays and battle formations. "A traditional defense," Instructor Gravik commented. "Effective, but predictable." During the discussion period, Samantha raised her hand. On Earth, there was a similar situation during the Battle of Thermopylae, where a small force held a narrow pass against a much larger army. "And what was the outcome?" asked the instructor. "The defenders were eventually defeated, but they delayed the enemy long enough for their allies to prepare a counterattack. They lost the battle but helped win the war." The class fell silent considering this. Kavarians would never consider a battle plan that ended in their own defeat. Drell said after a moment, "We fight to win or not at all." "Sometimes victory comes in unexpected forms," Jack replied. "Sometimes success means surviving long enough for others to succeed." That evening, word spread through the Academy about the humans' unconventional approach to both the simulation and the tactical discussion. More cadets began approaching them with questions about Earth history and human battle strategies. In the library, Samantha found herself surrounded by a group of Beldorians and Zethri, all asking about different Earth conflicts. "Is it true humans fought wars with primitive projectile weapons even after developing nuclear technology?" one asked. "Yes," Samantha explained. "Nuclear weapons were too destructive to use in most conflicts. We had to find other ways to fight." "Your species is puzzling," a Beldorian cadet said, waving its tentacles. "So advanced in some ways, yet so primitive in others. That's humanity." Samantha smiled. "We're full of contradictions." In their quarters that night, Daniel showed the others a message he had received from Earth Command. "They want our assessment of Academy training methods. They're considering sending more human cadets next year." "What will you tell them?" Olivia asked. "That it's challenging but worthwhile," Daniel replied. "And that understanding other species' approaches to warfare has value." Ethan looked thoughtful. "When we first showed those war clips, I worried we'd made a mistake. Now I think it was necessary. They needed to see who we really are, the good and the bad. And we needed to see them clearly too," Jack added. "We're all learning from each other." Commander Zelthorn watched the Academy's night training exercises from his office window. His assistant Leary stood beside him. "The human integration is proceeding better than expected," Leary noted. "Yes," the commander agreed. "They've surprised me. Their history is violent, yet they seek to understand rather than dominate. Their adaptability may be their greatest strength." "Do you think more human cadets should join next year?" Leary asked. Commander Zelthorn nodded slowly. "I believe the alliance will be stronger with humans among our ranks. They see patterns we miss and find solutions we wouldn't consider. Their contradictions make them unpredictable, a valuable trait in both allies and soldiers." He added a final note to his teaching log. Human cadets have moved from being feared to being sought out for their perspectives. Their unique history has become an advantage rather than a liability. 3 months had passed since the human cadets first arrived at the Galactic Defense Academy. The end of the first term approached, bringing the most important test for first-year cadets, the Combined Arms exercise. This was a full-day mission, simulation that would test everything they had learned. The night before the exercise, the Academy's main hall was filled with nervous cadets from all 17 species. Teams studied together, reviewing tactics and procedures. Team 7, Jack, Samantha, Mila, Crawl, and Drell, sat around a table covered with star charts and tactical displays. The Combined Arms exercise changes every year, Mila explained to the humans. But it always involves a complex mission with multiple objectives. Drell nodded, his large frame leaning over the table. Last year's teams had to rescue hostages from a space station while defending against enemy ships. Whatever the mission, Jack said, we'll need to use all our strengths. And compensate for our weaknesses, Samantha added. Crawl's rocky face formed what might have been a smile. Like the fact that humans are soft and breakable, the team laughed together, a sound that would have been unimaginable 3 months ago. From across the hall, Commander Zelthorn watched the mixed species team with satisfaction. His assistant Leary stood beside him. Did you expect this outcome when you put those 5 together? Leary asked. I hoped, the commander admitted. But they exceeded my expectations. The humans have integrated better than any new species in my teaching career. Early the next morning, all first-year cadets gathered in the Academy's main hangar. Instead of simulator pods, they were surprised to see actual ships, small training vessels equipped for short-range missions. Instructor Gravik addressed the cadets. Today's exercise will take place in real space, not in simulators. Each team will pilot a training vessel to complete mission objectives. Real flying, real tactics, real consequences. But with safety systems active, of course. A murmur of excitement spread through the crowd. Most first-year cadets had never operated real ships before. Commander Zelthorn stepped forward. This year's Combined Arms exercise is a search and rescue mission. A research vessel lost power in the Talaris asteroid field. Your objectives are to locate the vessel, restore its systems, and escort it safely back to Academy space. He continued. The asteroid field contains navigation hazards and automated defense drones left over from military exercises. These drones will register your ships as intruders. You must avoid or neutralize them without destroying Academy property. Each team was assigned a ship. Team 7 boarded training vessel Epsilon, a sleek craft with minimal weapons but good shields and sensors. Inside, they found a bridge similar to the simulators they had trained in, but with more detailed controls. Crawl immediately went to engineering, running his hands over the actual warp core controls with obvious pleasure. This is not a simulation, he rumbled happily. Real power. They launched with the other training vessels, each team heading toward the asteroid field on different vectors. At the edge of the field, Mila scanned for the missing research vessel. Finding one ship in this asteroid field will be difficult. The rocks are interfering with our sensors. We need to think differently, Jack said. If their power is out, what else could we detect? Samantha looked up from communications. Heat signature. Life support systems generate heat even on minimal power. Good idea, Jack nodded. Mila, recalibrate sensors for heat signatures rather than power emissions. The new approach worked. They detected a faint heat source deep in the asteroid field. We have a possible location, Mila reported. But the route is hazardous. Many large asteroids and narrow passages. I can navigate it, Drell said from the helm. Kavarians have excellent spatial awareness. As they ventured deeper into the asteroid field, their sensors detected something else. Several small, fast-moving objects on an intercept course. Defense drones approaching, Drell called out. 6 of them. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Remember, we can't destroy Academy property. Drell skillfully piloted the ship between asteroids, trying to lose the pursuing drones. 2 crashed into rocks, unable to match the Kavarians' piloting skills. 4 more on our tail, Samantha reported. They're charging weapons, Jack thought quickly. Kral, can you create a small power surge through our deflector dish? Like we did in the simulator, but smaller. Yes, but why? The Petrosian asked. Those drones likely target ships based on their power signatures, Jack explained. A pulse might confuse their targeting systems. Kral implemented the plan. The pulse rippled out from their ship, temporarily scrambling the drone's systems. They drifted, confused, allowing Team 7 to slip deeper into the asteroid field. They found the research vessel nestled between two large asteroids. It was dark, with only emergency lights visible through its viewports. No signs of hull damage, Mila reported, but all main systems appear offline. We need to board and help restart their systems, Jack said. Kral, you're our engineering expert. Samantha, you're with him. Mila, Drell, and I will stay aboard and keep watch for more drones. Kral and Samantha put on spacesuits and crossed to the research vessel through a temporary docking tube. Inside, they found the vessel's crew, training instructors playing the role of stranded researchers, waiting in emergency lighting. About time someone found us, one instructor said, maintaining the scenario. Main power's down, and we can't restart the core. While Samantha checked on the crew, Kral examined the ship's engineering section. The plasma injectors are misaligned. I can fix this, but I need help. Working together, Kral and Samantha realigned the plasma injectors and restarted the ship's power core. Lights came on and systems began rebooting. Now for the hard part, Samantha said as they returned to their own ship. We need to escort them out of the asteroid field with those drones still hunting us. Back on their vessel, Jack had developed a plan. The research ship has stronger shields but no weapons. We'll take point and clear the path. They'll stay close behind us. As they started their return journey, more defense drones appeared. This time they were ready. Mila, target their propulsion systems only, Jack ordered. Disable, don't destroy. The Zethrii handled the weapons with precision, disabling drones without destroying them. Drell's piloting kept them safe from asteroids, while Kral managed power systems to keep their shields at maximum. They were almost clear of the asteroid field when their sensors detected a massive energy surge. Something big is coming, Mila warned. Much larger than the drones. A large automated defense platform appeared, blocking their exit from the asteroid field. It dwarfed their small training vessel. That wasn't in the briefing, Samantha said. Final test, Drell suggested, to see how we handle a surprise. Jack studied the tactical display. We can't outgun it, and we can't leave the research vessel. What about using the asteroids? Kral suggested. If we could trigger a small rock slide. That might work, Jack agreed. Drell, can you position us near that unstable cluster? Mila, prepare to fire on my mark. Not at the platform, but at the asteroids behind it. The plan worked perfectly. The weapons fire destabilized a group of asteroids, creating a chain reaction. The defense platform was forced to move or be damaged, opening a path for both ships to escape. As they cleared the asteroid field, a message came from Academy Control. Exercise complete. Return to base. They had finished first, with the research vessel intact and minimal damage to Academy drones. Back at the Academy, Commander Zelthorn personally congratulated Team 7. Excellent work. You completed all objectives and demonstrated exceptional teamwork. We each contributed what our species does best, Jack said, looking at his teammates. That's the strength of the Alliance, isn't it? The commander nodded. Indeed. And that is the lesson of this exercise. 2 days later, term rankings were posted. Team 7 had scored highest in the combined arms exercise. More importantly, the 5 cadets who had once been strangers, even adversaries, now stood together as friends. In the Academy's garden that evening, Drell found Jack looking up at the stars. When I first saw those war clips, the Kavarian admitted, I thought humans were too dangerous to trust. I almost quit the Academy. And now? Jack asked. Now I understand better, Drell said. Your history made you who you are. Your wars taught you to value peace. Your struggles taught you to adapt. Jack smiled. We still have a lot to learn from each other. Commander Zelthorn made his final entry of the term in his teaching log. The integration of human cadets has been a complete success. Their unique perspective has enriched our training program. I recommend doubling the human quota for next year's class. The alliance will be stronger with them among our ranks.